Do you want to learn how to make a beautiful birdcage French netting veil? Then stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to cut a French netting veil, how to shape it, and how to attach it to a fascinator. I'm Dorene Vandermeer. I'm a bridal milliner. I'm sharing all my trade secrets with you, and one of them is how to make a custom angle French netting veil. All of your supplies will be in the description below, so let's go get started. All right, veil makers, all you're going to need is a yardstick and a cutting table and your rotary and some Russian veiling. So let me explain real quick. Russian veiling is what I call French netting, just because it translates better over the internet. And Russian veiling is going to be 18 inches. French netting will typically be in 9 inches or 12 inches. The dots are similar, but maybe a little bit more pronounced in the French netting. And you can weave French netting together to create an 18-inch width if you like that thicker dot. But this Russian veiling is a little bit more airy, and I prefer this hands down on most of my cuts, like the angle or the blusher. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to cut my angle veil in a 12-inch below the eye length and a 30-inch width, which will fit a 23-inch head size. All of my French netting veils, I custom fit everybody's head, because when you just put a 30-inch veil on a 21-inch head, it is huge. So if you want to know what size to cut yours in, I would be happy to show you the dimensions. Just put it in the comments. What's your head size that you're looking for? And then I'll just throw you back the dimensions to cut it. All right. Now for today, the 23-inch head side, I'm going to start with a 30-inch width. Rotary cut that straight away. And then I'm going to look for the edge that's the best. One thing that is infamous with this kind of netting is it can get wrinkled really easily because it's been on the bolt. But you can iron that out really easily with, it depends on your settings on your iron. I use like a wool to cotton, but I'm very careful. This netting can handle it, but you can't set it on it too long. And you want to go with the grain of the fabric like this. So you do not want to iron this way, you want to iron this way. All right, so I prefer this edge, and so I'm gonna make this into a 12-inch, and that's gonna be pretty easy to do. And then you want to keep this because this is what I use to make masks, and this is gold right here. Do not throw this away. They're really beautiful in putting them in fascinators as well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I eyeball this, but I'm going to show you on my grid here how I do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start about the 6-inch mark on my veil, and this is 12 inches. So I'm going to start halfway, carve a little triangle off the edge there. Now what I don't want a big bubble. That is only going to cause more fabric to bunch up in that corner. What I'm wanting is more of a seamless turn. So I'm going to even curve that a little bit more up and over like that. And that should do perfect. So this is where the bride's face is going to be, and this is capping the head. And I'm going to actually cut a little bit more off this corner there. So you don't want there to be sharp corners. You want it to be a nice cohesive turn. All right, that should do it. And now let's go weave our French netting. I'm going to show you how I like to clean my French netting. I am a stickler for this. I have seen veils that did not have that cleaned off, and I'm like, now, come on, it doesn't take much to do that. I don't know if you can see this. Let me put my glue board up against it. Can you see the little eyelash thing on there? Maybe it doesn't bother you, but it bothers me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these off real quick, and it's easy to do, especially up against something black. You just go real quick and trim those off. To me, this is a finished edge. When it's raw like that, I just don't think it's quite finished. Be careful not to cut the netting. I've done that multiple times. It's always a bummer. So I just put my finger up like this. This is where I'm holding it. That way it's guiding me. All right, that's all clean now. That looks finished to me. It looks lovely. Now what we're gonna do is I want to show you how to put pearls on that, or crystals. I'm going to put pearls on it because it's easier for you to see, because now's the time to do it. And I like to double face them on here because you can turn a French netting veil over at the reception and it kind of snoods the back of the hair. And these are tiny little flat back pearls. The first one's always hard. Land it, and then I put my fingers like this. This is holding this pearl in place. And then I just put a little dab of glue right on that. And I put a pearl and I sandwich it together. And this is the same technique I use for my illusion veils. And it's going to want to get off that center. Just move it, get it on there until it's perfectly on. It's so cool. And I'm going to do a few more. And when I do this, I usually try to avoid the eye line. And if you've seen me put pearls on the illusion netting, I have a little sponge here that's wet, and that also helps to pick up the pearls. Sometimes it can be a little hard to pick them up. So I can pick them up with a little wet sponge. Yeah, we'll just put a few more in and we'll be done. We're not wanting a lot, just a few. And I'm not sure if you caught that, but when you have a glue tail like that, you just twist and it pops it off. Now I'm going to show you how to sew it. So basically you're going to become a French netting weaver. Every single one of these little diamonds meet, get inside the center of that, or the side. I like to center it. Now that I've got that knotted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave, and I'm just going to show you a few and then I'll just kind of fast forward. But what you're doing is you're weaving in between each one of these. And this is like, I always likened it to knitting. It just kind of feels like I'm knitting the French netting together. And as I've run out of needle space, I go ahead and pull that through. I do not lock the stitch. I just pull it and start adding more. All right, I think you get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and meet you at the other side, and then I'll show you how to put this all together. All right, we're at the end. And this is similar to how you gather your illusion netting. You want to get everything nice and straight. As I'm going to now go back through, sort of weaving through. And you could say, why don't you do that from the start? Because it's not going to make it a nice gather. What we want is the gather to be perfect when we're doing it, because once we put it on the patient, then all of these gathers will stay nice and straight. I'll show you what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. You see how that's nice back there, all the gathers are coming out. And now what you're going to do is you're going to lock that stitch and keep this on. Don't take that off yet. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take some bobby pin loop, but I'm going to show you this technique because this is how we're going to put on the fascinator. And I like to make my veils detachable so that the bride can wear the fascinator at the reception. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a little button loop system at the end of the French netting veil. And you're going to put glue on it. And this is the back side. This is decorative button loop. I call them bobby pin loops, button loops. And now I'm going to go ahead and put the French netting veil down with the loops facing out. I'm going to now sew that netting, a couple of stitches in there before I fold it over. And I'm going to trim off that excess top. And now I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to put glue now over here. I'm going to sandwich that down so they overlap. Back around, just like that. And every button loop is going to be a little different. So just play around getting the right arrangement that you need. And now I'm going to sew that all into place. And then that's it. The bobby pin loop is on. What I'm going to do now is show you how to put your fascinator on your French netting veil. So essentially the bobby pin loops here is how you will attach your veil into your hair. And bobby pins will be your friend with the French netting veil because it's got so much body. What we do with the bobby pins is we actually can attach it throughout, especially towards the back. And this will help pull it off of the face and kind of just arrange it nicely on the head. Now that that's in, you can then put your fascinator, which is already clipped, on the back. And just like that, you are ready to go. Wasn't that fun? You learned how to make a French netting veil out of Russian netting or French netting. And now if you'd love to make a beautiful peonese fascinator with it, check out this tutorial. See you later, veil makers.